Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Toolbox Tuesday. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Today's a pretty big day for me. I'm doing my big speech at the Oceanside Women's Business Network tonight, which I'm super excited about. So today I am speaking to you about the gift of surprise. And no surprise that I read this out of my Mark Nepo book. And what I love about Mark Nepo is this book. I've showed it to you many times before. And it's called The Gift of Awakening. And as I evolve as a human, as we all are evolving as a human, I've been reading this book for years. And every time I read these daily readings, something new shows up for me, and I absolutely love this. And so today was the gift of surprise, and what he said was really profound to me. And he said, we can never be prepared for everything. No one person can anticipate all of life. In fact, over preparation is yet another way to wall ourselves in from life. And then he says, for God is seldom in our plans, but always in the unexpected. And I thought, how cool is that? You know, I've spent, and I've talked about this many times before, a big chunk of my life needing to know the answers, needing to be in control of everything. And, you know, we all come from these places because of different things that happen in our childhood or different parts of our life. And that control shows up as a way of our regulating our nervous system. And for a while it works out for us, but in the end, we find that it's not always working out for us. And so when I read this reading this morning about the gift of surprise, I thought to myself, how incredible is it that, you know, when we get stuck in these needing to control everything, and how he's just said how we can make our life small when we're needing to control everything in our lives. And I think about this weekend, how I had the opportunity to go to a conference in Vancouver, stay at my brother's house, and, you know, when we switch things up in our lives and do things differently, there's this element of surprise, and that's what brings the joy in. I really find when I'm doing the things the same over and over and over, it's like life gets really mundane. But when we start switching things up, going to a different beach, maybe turning down a different road or taking a different way, it's just nice to invite different and surprise into our life. So when I went over this weekend, it was just so lovely to wake up in the morning with my brother and my little nieces, and they bring so much surprise because kids are always doing different things, and there was coloring and there was stories, and next thing you know, we were walking down West Vancouver looking at all the amazing buds coming out, and then we were down in a restaurant, and just the element of new and surprise and change brings so much to our life. And yeah, sometimes there are some things that happen that maybe we don't expect, like doors close or friendships end and relationships end, and we don't understand it in the moment. But I do believe that when something happens, it always happens for a reason. So the surprise in our life could be something really great, or it could be something that doesn't feel so great. But what if we invited that in with curiosity and openness? So for example, when I came home this weekend, I got to the BC ferries. It was 3:00 in the afternoon. And if any of you follow the news, you'll know that the ferries were shut down in West Vancouver from 11:30 in the morning right through till like 8:00 at night. And I got there, and the old me would have been like, oh, this sucks, and my whole day is like blah, blah, blah. But instead, I ended up running into an old friend, and we ended up chatting for a while, which was super lovely. And then next thing you know, I was in an Uber heading back to my brother's and got to hang out for dinner, which was super lovely. And then I ended up getting back on the ferry, which was great, and heading home that night. And I ended up running into a couple of really great ladies, and I ended up having some lovely conversations on the way home on the ferry. So again, surprise, like we never know what's gonna unfold in our lives. And like Mark Nepo says, he said, this gift of surprise is, you know, when we over prepare and we think that we need to know, it's another way of just walling ourselves. And when I say walling, like keeping ourselves small in our lives. And so having this opportunity this weekend to switch things up and do something different was just so lovely. And it was interesting. I heard this woman coming off the ferry who had been stuck in the traffic all day long at the BC ferries. And I get it. It probably wasn't super fun, but she was so upset and so frustrated, even hours and hours and later. And I thought, you know, it didn't have to be that way. Like, she could have just enjoyed the sunshine and the quiet and the connection and the rest and the time with her husband that she was really angry at. You know, it could have been a different experience, same circumstance, but different experience. And so when we try to stop to control everything, it makes space for something more, something deeper. So yeah, where in your life are you resisting the unexpected? I can speak to this fully because I did this a lot in my past version of myself. And what if the moment you didn't plan for is actually trying to give you something? And what might open for you if you trusted the surprise? Even if it isn't something that you hoped for. Like, I really do believe that everything happens for a reason. And when one door closes, other doors open. So how could you invite a little bit more surprise into your life? Or maybe surprise comes into your life, and instead of resisting it, what if we could be open to it and trust that this surprise is guiding us to what's next for us in our life? Anyways, I'm sending you all so much love. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.